Perfect. All right, I call to order the Committee of the Whole meeting for Wednesday, January 8th, 2024. I'd like to start with our land acknowledgement and acknowledge that we are gathered on Treaty 8 First Nations territory in the long-standing presence of elders and the ancestors of Treaty 8. And through this acknowledgement, we extend recognition and respect to the BC Treaty 8 First Nations and all those who call the Peace Country home. Moving on to item number 3.1, adoption of agenda. Recommendation that Council adopts the Committee of the Whole agenda for January 8th, 2025. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Wall, thank you. Any discussion regarding the agenda as presented? Councillor Rabble?
Just a small technical one. It just says January 8th, 2024 at the top. I assume just because it's the new year. You know, happy 2025, folks.
Yeah, nice catch. Okay. Any other? I didn't even notice that. Did I say 2024?
No, you said 2025.
Oh, I like automatically corrected it too. That's so funny.
No, it's just a new year.
Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor of adopting the agenda with the amendment to 2024 to 2025. And that's unanimous and carried. Perfect. Okay. Moving on to adoption minutes. There's none at this point because it's our first one. Introduction of late items, none. Public hearings, none. And delegations is none. So moving on to unfinished business and business arising from the minutes. That council review the 2025 Committee of the Whole and regular council meeting schedule previously adopted through motion on December 18th, 2024. Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Whittle. Okay. Moving on to that page, hang on, 4 to 7. There it is. Okay, so you'll see there we have our Committee of the Whole schedule as well as our regular council meeting schedules. And then is there any questions regarding the times or the schedule that's presented in front of you?
Don't wait a minute, sorry.
Councillor.
The 26th. Oh wait, that's November, not December.
Councillor Mel.
So the bylaw that we adopted in the recent special meeting deals with the time change of the meeting starting at 7 p.m. to 7:15 p.m. as mentioned here, and then also the structure previously and now allows for the Committee of the Whole and for the regular council meetings.
Mm-hmm.
And then as well,
9 p.m. to 10 p.m.
with the Committee of the Whole meetings, it's like having the discussion part, and then at the actual meeting at the fourth Wednesday, we're at the second Wednesday. So we'll look at all of this stuff, discuss it all, not make any actual decisions on it, and then it will come back to us in the regular meeting.
And then we'll vote.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'd just like to note on camera and for the public watching that the Committee of the Whole meetings are still open to the public, and you are still more than welcome to come sit and attend and watch us live our best lives around this table. Councillor Whittle?
So just for clarification, if we want to move an item from the COW meeting into the regular council meeting, does that need to be done through motion?
Yes. So that'll be a recommendation, a motion for recommendation to move an item or activity from the committee to the regular council meeting.
Councillor Rabble?
Let's say for whatever reason there's the need to make a motion and move business forward because of time sensitivity. Can we still do that within a COW meeting? No, we'd have to have a new special meeting and have it there. So the only motions are purely administrative, like adopting the agenda, minutes and whatnot, but nothing to do with actually moving business forward. It's purely discussion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then the nice thing about the Committee of the Whole meetings is if we're having a really, really good discussion, which does often happen with us, and then there's further questions or clarification needed, you can always ask for that to be brought forward to the regular council meeting, which could then give you the further information that you are needing to make your final decision. Councillor Wall?
I do have one question regarding Committee of the Whole meetings. Could council direct staff to look into something during the Committee of the Whole meeting?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's say we're talking about something, we go, hey, here's an idea, can you look into this and bring it back to the regular council meeting?
Yeah, there could be a motion for direction for further information, further clarity, reporting on a specific subject matter or activity.
Just not making a
decision.
decision.
Not making any concrete decisions that are going to affect service levels, costs, user fees, anything big picture.
Okay. Any other questions? Councillor Whittle?
So just a clarification too, if, say something does come up and it's extremely time sensitive, we need to deal with it now, we have the ability within this body to waive notification and at the end of the COW meeting, move into a special meeting, waiving notification to pass whatever it may be.
Correct.
Because it's time sensitive and it's one of those things that popped up and that we have no control over really.
Yeah, and haste of reaction, yes, correct.
Let's try it out. Let's see what happens, right?
No, I like this because what we run into is a lot of the time, within a council meeting is we want more information or we need to clarify or look into stuff. So this, I'm really excited about this process.
Thank you, Councillor.
Councillor Apple?
But if I may, further to that point, a lot of good discussion happens, and then I'll realize certain things that I'd like to look into, but then we're facing a decision right then and there.
That's what this will
And
help avoid.
So for second thought.
Now, my
research.
question for you, Mr. Sobalski, is so with this, with us reviewing this, after this, of course, my next step would be to receive this for information. Is that correct procedure?
So this is just a reflection of the amended meeting schedule dates. There was 2 that were identified in the previous review, so this is just to reflect that those amendments have been augmented correctly.
Yeah, and then after that, we can move forward with receiving for information, and we're all good.
Correct.
Perfect. Just wanting to make sure that I have it right in my brain too.
You do your own goal.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all right. Any other discussion regarding that? Councillor Rabel?
Here's the change, though. We will be having 2 meetings in July and August, which is fine. I'm just saying that's a change.
Yes,
that is an actual change.
That is an actual change. We are going to be meeting twice throughout the summer months. Which, frankly, I don't know. This summer we met like 3 times a month over the summer while we were hiring, so we all did pretty well. It was a lot, but we all did pretty well. So, okay, all right. Any other discussion? All those in favor of receiving for information? Perfect. Thank you. That was unanimous and carried. All right. Moving on to new business. Anybody want to take over reading that?
I recommend that council accepts the 2024 financial interim audit report and audit planning report for review and discussion.
Seconded by Councillor Whittle. Thank you. Any other discussion? No, hang on. Any discussion regarding this?
Yes, there should be discussion.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, there should be discussion on this. Yes, Councillor Rebel.
Redaction is noted. Does the redacted portions deal with matters that cannot be conveyed publicly?
Yes.
But will be made available to this body at a later time?
During a closed meeting, yes.
Okay.
It takes place after this meeting.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Councillor Wall?
I just want to note for public transparency here that during this audit, one of the recommendations was made that we transfer approximately $400,000 into our sewer infrastructure, or sewer and, what's the exact wording? Sewer and...
Sewer fund.
Sewer fund, from the unappropriated operating fund.
Yes, just for clarification, that is the money that we transferred last meeting that we had that discussion.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, the previous 2 meetings that was discussed, same thing.
It's the same thing, so we're already, even though this is coming to us as a recommendation now to do, we've already done it, so.
Yeah.
And we've implemented an unappropriated operating funds policy to mitigate these types of circumstances and log jams in the future.
So even though we're just getting this, it's just a little bit out of date, we're already being proactive.
We've already met that recommendation. That's correct, Council.
And then I'm just looking, Mr. Sobalski, just for clarification for those watching, I know that you've already been working on this and you and staff have been doing a phenomenal job, but could you just discuss a little bit about the commercial utility sewer rate and sort of what that issue was with the rate being higher than what the base rate was or lower and us not collecting enough on that?
Yeah, pretty much the issue there is there was an amendment to the user fee schedule in the previous fiscal year, and then administratively we just didn't catch up to it. So we were still doing the backdated, invoicing of the previous user fee schedule. So we have to make sure that we have some checks and balances in place so that when we do have a user fee schedule augmented, we reflect that through our administrative practices. Best way to do that is have a consolidated user fee schedule, as you've read in the previous 3 or 4 CAO reports that us and the team are diligently working on and we'll have prepared for review, most likely by the COW meeting in February.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
No worries.
Councillor Whittle?
Yeah, so I was reading through the report and I noticed the one issue that they brought up was the missing meeting minutes from October 1st, 2024. Was that just, because I know it was us going through that transitional period at that point in time, and
That is definitely something I take full responsibility for. That was during that transitional period where we were kind of winging it. We had some interim people come in while we were going through staff changes, and we just had a lot of people trying to juggle quite a large role. And so in that, there was a few minute issues that had happened within our what's the system called? It's the iCompass Document Center. So the minutes were in there, but we weren't actually able to fully access them, and so there was a bit of a background issue that was going on. So that is being fixed. We've been actually since Mr. Sawalski's come on, he's been working diligently with iCompass to fix any of those.
okay, so that's more due to a technical error.
Yeah.
Not necessarily missing minutes. The minutes were recorded properly.
We just couldn't post them and we couldn't print them. But
It was an access issue.
Yeah.
Minutes were still taken, but it was an access issue due to
And we
the.
still have a record, a recorded visual record on YouTube of the proceedings that happened at the special meeting.
Yeah, but that doesn't count as an official.
No, it doesn't, but we need
Could
to.
transcripts be generated from that to
They
become an official, and then they just have to come
They can
back?
augment the previous record of minutes
No, okay.
so that we can have a full understanding of the proceedings.
So
that happened.
would those, once that gets done, would those need to come back to us then for approval in a regular council meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
So don't be surprised if you start seeing some old minutes that need to be
No, that's what I assumed it was
reviewed.
during, because looking at the date, it was during that staffing transition.
Yeah.
And the minutes in question here in this recommendation letter specifically never were presented to council for motion or review. So they are just outstanding minutes at this point.
Yeah, we do have them. We're just trying to fix this technical accessible issue, and then once that's fixed, they'll come to us.
And
but yeah,
there was nothing in there that,
was time sensitive.
time sensitive or opens us up to liability or anything like that.
No, that was pretty much just concerning the hiring of my position.
Oh,
Which we
It was
actually,
a closed meeting.
yes, part of it was.
A portion was.
Yeah, the portion of it was, we followed all of the other steps. We did the Rising report, we've done the announcements, we've welcomed Mr. Swalski to the
Obviously
community.
hired, yeah.
We've hired, we've done the whole stuff on social media and on our website. I said the minutes are there, we're just having a bit of an accessibility issue. And then once that's been solved with iCompass, that will come before us. But it's not that they're missing, it's that we have them, which is just being a pain in the butt.
oh,
But again, I apologize, that was during that weird period where we were sort of transitioning, and everybody was wearing 12 million hats.
then you broke the computer system.
Yeah,
It's all your fault.
probably.
Everything's fixable.
Yeah, Councillor Rattle.
Okay, fair enough. So stepping back to the commercial utility sewer rates, greater than the base rate, so those weren't increased when they were being built for 2024. Do we need to collect that? Does the village have to eat that? What does that look like?
Well, so part of that was actually due to, if I remember correctly, the fee schedule, it changed in December. Wasn't that what it was? It was a very quick, sudden change on behalf of
With lack of notice.
the village, the city of Dawson Creek. They increased their rate, and then very suddenly increased ours, and we were not able to suddenly make that change. There's a whole bylaw procedure that has to be gone through. Once staff has finished working on the fee schedule, that's going to come back to us, and then hopefully by April 1st, I think, is when the change is going to be made. It's going to be very much like it was for the water rates. If you all remember correctly, the water rate change happened very quickly, and we cushioned the community for about three months while we slowly transitioned them in. We're going to be doing that again. So Dawson Creek has made that increase. We didn't get a sufficient amount of notice to be able to change our bylaws and fee schedule at that point in time. And so again, we're going to be doing that for 3 months where we're cushioning the community so that we can make those proper changes that need to be made here within the office.
So regarding this is a sewer rate. We operate our own sewer system, right?
No, I'm going to let Mr. Cebulski explain that better because he's going to have a much better context to that than I
We
do.
do operate our own sewer system.
Yeah.
So we do have a treatment center, a facility.
So this is our sewage rates increasing.
Yeah.
It is our sewage rates increasing?
This was what was outlined in the recommendation letter. We had a previous increase to our sewage and utility rates, and unfortunately we did not incorporate that increase into practice.
So does that mean Dawson Creek's charging us for their sewer infrastructure?
No.
So, because why would it be a sewer increase then instead of a water rate increase? Because they're charging us more for the water. So our water rate should go up, but our sewer rates.
The sewer rate really doesn't have much to do with us, any adjoining or sister municipality. It doesn't have much to do with it.
So I don't understand why we would have to increase our sewage treatment rates when.
This is just part of our normal practice of doing an annual 5% service increase. So when we did the 5% service increase, or I think it's a 2%, sorry, I misspoke there, a 2% service increase, we didn't put that into an administrative practice of actually invoicing that to the user. So this is a practice that can happen anytime.
What does this have to do with Dawson Creek?
Oh, so does this not have to do with the December thing where they raised the water rate and then that affected?
It could be a small reflected issue, but really it is quite separate.
Also, it's not, okay.
It's quite separate.
Okay, so
But
that's
where the
reason,
solution
that's fine.
where the solution does tie back together is the consolidated user fee schedule. That being a improved practice that we implement will make this a less administrative tasking process for us to track these augmented user fees when they do go up through their annual increase.
Okay, and then, but that water rate, that's gonna be on something else then?
That is
coming.
that is in the CAO report. That's a discussion regarding the
Oh,
CAO
thank
report.
you, sorry, I'm talking about it in the wrong
So we
spot.
just gotta conflate those two issues. They're very similar,
Yeah.
but they're in the same ballpark, but the cause of those two issues is not the same.
Pause what I just said and move that down to the CAO report.
I just got a little bit confused because
No,
I
that
thought
makes
it was, okay.
No, this is just part of our annual service fee increases, and then not implementing that service fee increase after it was reviewed by the public office.
Okay,
Does that give a little bit of clarity?
yeah, scrap what I said, listen to what he said. Councilor Whittle.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but to my understanding, if I got this right, is that our sewage rates are a percentage of what our water rates are, right?
Mhm.
So
So they do reflect.
Yes, they
Yeah.
reflect. So with the city of Dawson Creek implementing a mandatory 10 point whatever % increase, so then that in return would, if we stuck to the way we've been doing things, and I think it's through bylaw, I'm not 100% on that one, but that would then result in a increased cost on the sewer end of things, just because of those rates staying within each other. And
In a perfect world, yes. How things were administratively handled in the past, that didn't always happen.
so is that controlled under is there a bylaw for that? Because I can't remember if there is off the top of my head if there was the sewage bylaw, but if
There's a
there's something
sewer
that
bylaw.
said in there that it's a percentage of whatever the water rates are.
It is.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, that because of our own bylaws, we've kind of looped ourselves into, as the city of Dawson Creek jacks up our water rate, we're now to stay in line with our own bylaws, we've got to slowly jack up our sewer rate to match pace with that over and above just the infrastructure cost. Because I know when we first entered into that agreement with the city of Dawson Creek for water 4 years ago now, I think it was. And we cushioned that blow to the community for the water rates.
Yeah.
There was a 5-year schedule, or there's a schedule fee that was given to us that we had planned on, and then that entire schedule fee, from my understanding, the city of Dawson Creek just chucked out the window and upped their rates substantially more than what they had originally said. So according to our bylaw, that would result in a sewer increase because the water rate went up.
In a roundabout consideration of a trickle-down theory, that is correct, Councillor Will. Yes.
Yeah, 'cause
But if public office chose not to implement that prorated percentage increase based off of the service agreement with the sister municipality, this wouldn't necessarily be, well, it would still be an issue. It would be an even larger issue.
So my question is, because
The rates are tied in the bylaw.
well, the rates are tied in the bylaw, but it's one of those things that just because the city of Dawson Creek jacks up their price, that doesn't mean there's any more water or less water going through our system. So could we potentially look at a review of that bylaw to say, hey, look, outside of whatever the city of Dawson Creek decides to do with their water rates, and basically separate church and state a little bit, I guess is what I'm trying to get to, is that we set our schedule fees, or we have a fee already set for sewer from what we prospected over the next couple of years. And could we look into potentially, we're looking at city bylaws, I guess, look into staying on that schedule we already have, right? So it softens that blow a little bit to our residents, because really, it's no more taxing on our infrastructure than what we'd already planned for, just because they're jacking up their rates, right? So they kind of separate the two a little bit more. So if they jack up the rates 200%, but they're not going to, I hope not. But if they jack up the rates, a large amount, then we're not by bylaw forcing ourselves to jack our sewer rates up to stay with there, right? We should look at.
We have to find a fine balance there. It's really a tough balance, Councillor.
Because I hate
We
to
don't
say
want to
it.
necessarily get to the point where we're subsidizing service based on a third-party service agreement.
No, but if we said we're going to do 2% a year for the next 5 years, because that's what it is, and that's originally what we looked at, say, for a rate increase for water to keep them similar. But now we're getting 10% increases over here instead of 2% increases. We should look at still keeping that around that 2 to 5% mark, not jumping this up that matched this necessarily, because it's no more wear and tear on our infrastructure. It's just our suppliers charging us more. It doesn't cost us any more to get rid of it.
It's definitely a great consideration, and I think that administration could come up with a follow-up for the next COW meeting for all of public office to review. I would just discretionarily advise against this being a multi-year schedule, just due to the fact that our infrastructure is aging. The influence of that third-party service agreement does somewhat trickle down to the cost of this utility, and we don't want to get hampered into a corner where we're necessarily promising a subsidized increase on behalf of the municipality for the rest of the user. I think we can understand that, right?
Yeah, just where my question comes from is that we're talking, because where we're going to that we don't have a choice on.
We have more control on this one.
Yeah, we have a little more control in here, and then if we're looking, according to our financial plan from last year, if we're looking at a potential tax increase as well, now we're hitting people even more on the sewer side and on the tax side than what we had initially planned on, I guess. And that's where my concern is because, yeah, we do need to get back on track. The taxes are a whole other issue. But with the infrastructure, just because Party A is charging us more money on something we control, I'd like to see the two a little more separate, or at least see the bylaws.
Well, and then part of it does go back to what Mr. Sobolski stated with the infrastructure is aging, and so that is part of the problem is that if we're constantly charging exactly what it takes to expel it, we're not putting away any money.
There's no capital.
Yeah, but we can't.
There's none.
We can't make money off the sewer though, isn't it? The cost recovery.
It is a cost recovery model, but we can incorporate it into our service rate increases, the cost of capital life cycle.
Because that's part of the problem. While we have lucked out, with our lagoon, we've been extremely lucky. But that's just the lagoon. That doesn't cover all the lines that are going into it. That doesn't.
No collection lines.
There's no collection line or systems that are being covered within this major repair that's going on, and many of our infrastructure systems are extremely aged. We are seeing a lot of those things coming up. Plus, we have our asset management, which is going to be much more the expectation of the municipality as well. And so, while we're not using it to make money, we do need to start looking at it as, okay, these are going to need to be repaired or replaced over time. We have not been putting money away to really take on these large infrastructure projects, and that's where not only does that tie into our tax issues that we are having, but it does tie into our user and fee schedule.
So it's not necessarily service fee increase, it'd be more of an infrastructure
it's
charge.
It's almost like an infrastructure levy included into the service fee increase. Because when we were developing our service rates in the past, we were just considering the cost of service. We weren't considering the overhead or long-term capital costs. As we're seeing through the grading conditioning of a lot of these assessments, most of our wastewater collection lines are graded between 3 and 5. That's not a lot of life left. You want to be 1 to 3 usually on your asset management grading. So we're going to have to start considering this as a capital consideration over the next 4 to 10 capital years. We won't be able to tackle all the service line issues at once, but again, this will be a phased approach where, I hate to say it, the service fees will have to augment the cost of this.
Yeah. Because we can't keep putting it within our taxes as well, which is what we've been previously doing.
Well, I think framing it.
And we'll come up with a revenue basis.
I think framing it though, out to the public and just reframing it even as it's an infrastructure replacement cost versus a service fee.
Yes.
Right? Because a service fee is like, oh my God, they're charging me more money for this.
Or if it's the same service.
Even though it's the same service, but if we incorporate it or, I guess, bring it out to people as, there's a service fee increase, but it's also a asset replacement or as an infrastructure replacement. It's a little more transparent. It separates the two so people understand we're not just charging more money for your crap to go down the drain. We're charging more money because we have to fix the drain that your crap goes into. Eventually we'll replace it.
And one of the biggest reminders we have to keep reminding the community too is Puskabee was incorporated in 1932, which means that some of our systems are from incorporation and have not been really had much return or repair or replacement done to them, and that's what we are currently facing.
I think just framing it a little different, I think, would make a little more palatable.
If I may, I think my interpretation of the sewer rate bylaw is that the logic that underpins it is that the sewer rate is tied to the Dawson Creek water. The cost of the water that Dawson Creek charges us, for whatever reason, the two are linked. Whereas my understanding is the sewer system cost is borne solely by the village of Puskabee, right? So if we are fully responsible for our sewer, we're fully responsible for the cost of maintenance and operation and renewal, repair.
Yeah.
So I think what the member opposite might be getting at is the logic of it being tied to the water rate doesn't reflect the reality, where it should be better made. If we're rejigging everything, like rejigging all fees and stuff, tie it to the asset retirement, which is linked to our asset management, instead of linking it to the Dawson Creek water rate. That's more logical.
Yeah.
What I'm getting at though, what I'm wondering with this is, with the commercial sewer rate that's above the base rate, that was determined sometime in the past by this body to be necessary to be increased to provide for whatever the increased cost is. That went uncollected for 2024. With that being uncollected in 2024, and it's assumed that costs increased because that's the logic behind increasing the costs, is that being funded by something else? Do we have to collect, hopefully we don't retroactively collect it, obviously I'm not in favor of that, but we just bear that through our budget? Is it being funded?
It's an absorbed cost that gets reflected in an increased service fee.
In the future, or? Okay.
In the future being this budget season.
So essentially it was uncollected, we had to absorb it in last year's taxes and tax base. Going forward, we have to still correct it and identify it. So we're good for 2024, we've identified it, now we have to move forward with calculating it however we calculate it. Right now it's linked to the water rate, which is not logical. It should actually be tied to whatever it actually costs to do the darn thing, plus the asset retirement. So we should look into that in the future.
Well, and then that's where that user fee schedule is coming in. So that's where we're doing, staff is working really hard to make sure that a lot of these are either one, we're at least making what it costs, or if it's something that is large, we know coming up for asset management or retirement or maintenance or upgrades or whatever. Okay, are we making sure that we're not just reaching the baseline, we're actually putting away money for the future for when this is being done? Because what keeps happening, which is exactly what happened with the lagoon, is we're having these big infrastructure things come up and then we're scrambling trying to find money and grants. The scrambling cannot continue, because then everything feels like a emergency. And so you shouldn't be running on oh my gosh, we now have this $5 million thing to fix. It should be, don't worry, we planned for that in 2024.
Yeah.
It's now 2032, we're fine.
So
that's what we're trying to get.
Well, this comes to the ultimate core of all of these discussions that are now being had by all these municipalities because of new accounting practices that are being brought in. Hey, your asset retirement has to be noted on your balance sheet, right? What is the cost?
It's not just your balance sheet, it has to be backed up in a reserve account.
Because a lot of things were built especially up here in the 60s, 70s, 80s. There's a massive boom of a lot of development. Now all that infrastructure is aging out. There isn't actually enough money, federally and provincially, to go around to rebuild all of this stuff that's about to age out. So they're saying, okay, municipalities, you gotta justify all this stuff. Very expensive infrastructure that is now to be rebuilt to more stringent standards, more stringent material standards, more expensive materials, higher costs of labor. Everything is more expensive now. So everything from a $200,000 project is now a $2 million project, so on and so forth. Anyways, what I'm getting at is the logic that has to underpin any fee and charges is how much it costs today and how much it will cost in the future to provide.
Mm-hmm.
But those things have to be inextricably linked like they are in reality, not some arbitrary thing that's linked to some rate because of something. I think as we go forward, as we rejig our schedule and unify it and bring it together, which I am appreciative of, because then you can actually refer to it. Trust me, when I looked at the water and sewer rates when I was a resident trying to figure all this out, it was arduous. It was bizarre. To dig through it all and line it all up, I had to create spreadsheets to understand where everything linked together and how much it actually costs. That's absurd.
As Mayor and Councillor Woodall to remember.
Yeah, and I brought it forward, and that's in some meeting back in whenever, 2022 or something. But that's kind of what got me interested in this as well. But anyways, if you provide something, make it reasonable, justify what the heck it is,
Yeah.
but also be able to provide it in the next 50 to 100 years. A lot of our infrastructure is going to age out. Anyways.
Councillor Wall?
How much in dollars did the village not collect, leading us to this situation?
Oh, we're looking at around 15 to 20,000.
So basically our entire tax increase.
Yeah, 2 billion periods, yeah.
Okay,
So yeah, our entire tax increase.
I would like,
Not quite the entire tax increase, but a substantial portion of it.
so $15,000 to $20,000 was not collected due to an error. I would like this item to be moved to our in-camera agenda.
To our in-camera?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe the redacted part would already be because it deals with.
Yeah.
It is, yes, so
Regarding labor.
yeah, the other ones, I think, regarding labor as well, so you're already covered, so we can talk about it in there.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions? Councillor Woodall?
I'd like to make the recommendation that we ask staff to bring back or make available to us the current sewer rate bylaw.
Do you want that added to the next agenda?
I'm all right with it just actually being emailed out to us. It doesn't necessarily need to come on to, it can come back to the next COW meeting. Might be a more appropriate place to have a bit more of a conversation than the council meeting. But in the meantime, if staff could get that out to us, then we have a chance to review it before the.
Okay. Are you still willing to second that, Councillor Woodall? I mean, well,
Yeah.
I do this
Council
all the
Woodall.
time.
You'll second himself? Yeah,
Here,
that's
let's
fine.
just swap these.
Okay.
We also, Councillor Rabel and I still have all of our spreadsheets that we kind of gave to everyone in the village at one point regarding the water rate increases.
Well, we had to prove how much it actually, what was the percentage of increase? And did it align with the
78%.
BC Utilities Commission's maximum increase rate?
Okay, so we're all good. This is gonna come out. I know we kind of put it as a motion. Do you need a motion?
No, that motion's not.
Doesn't need to be a motion.
I didn't think so. I was like, do we need a motion for that? Okay.
I don't know if we needed a motion directing staff to do it or not, so that's.
Okay, well then, I'm going to, oh, he's writing me a note. Hang on.
Only administrative follow-up on that, when we do hold our consultations and public hearings, there will be a major communication exercise presented by myself regarding on what makes up a service fee formula. I think as we educate the public and the residents about why we have to do these increases with substantiated rationale, we'll incorporate buy-in as that practice unfolds. So that will be a major portion of our public hearing regarding this practice and activity.
Okay. All right. Motion to receive for information. Can I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Wall. Any other discussion? All those in favor? And that is carried. Okay. Moving on to, where am I? Thank you.
That's correct.
Somebody wants to
I'll
read?
recommend that council receives the easement notice on 56th Avenue as information.
Seconded by Councillor Woodall, thank you. Any discussion? Hey, I gotta get there too. Yes, Councillor Wall?
Looking at the map provided, which I'm now trying to find.
I know, I'm totally.
Yep.
So be careful with the map. So we have to be careful about, like, we can't identify land legal labor.
Mm-hmm.
Not looking at the map.
Well, anything that would be follow-up compliance, communication, that would all be an in-camera discussion.
Yeah.
Would asking a question regarding how we got here.
In camera.
Okay. I have no comment.
Okay. No worries.
Okay.
If you'd like to make a motion to move this to the in-camera agenda, you're more than
This
welcome.
is in camera already,
It is on the agenda.
There you go.
under land.
So we just received this for information or what?
Yeah, because you can't really talk about
It's
it now.
review of the notice.
Okay.
Review of the notice.
The notice looks, looks good.
Looks good to
Where's
me.
the notice?
Next page.
20. Too far.
Too far.
Too far. There it is.
Oh yeah, I read that, looks good.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. And then with this notice, just for clarification, it will go on to the regular council meeting, or you need a motion to put it on to the regular council meeting?
No, this is just a review of public office. No motion is required for follow-up.
Perfect.
This is just for awareness of a land and possibly legal issue.
And just, just to, with that, any parties that are affected by the notice, the village is already engaging with those parties.
Correct. Correct.
Face to face.
Okay, perfect. Councillor Wall?
I would like to make the motion that this be included in the next council meeting's closed portion of the meeting so that we could make decisions if required.
Okay, can I get a seconder on that motion? Seconded by Councillor Ravel. Any discussion about that? All those in favor? That's unanimous and carried. Maybe we can just bring it up for discussion. I think that's fair. Councillor Wall?
I would also like just to comment on here and then maybe make a recommendation that it appears as though this situation has taken place, being very careful, due to a potential lack of communication or proactive bylaw enforcement within the village. Is that correct?
We would discuss that in camera.
Yeah, I wouldn't even quite go.
I wouldn't even go that far. I would probably rescind that comment too.
Rescind the comment?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll rescind the comment.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other discussion regarding the notice in front of you? Yes, Councillor Rebel?
So this is an easement notice that we are issuing as a village to just simply identify that this easement exists, even though it exists. Is this to be put on any titles, or I don't know what that would be? So this is the purpose now is to simply remind folks, just like 50th is also an easement.
It's just, it's just put the notice out, and then if you have any concerns regarding the notice.
So 50th, 51st, 52nd, 53rd, 54th, 56th, they're all easements, they're all roads.
Those are all recognized municipal
Those are all
roadways at this
recognized
juncture.
roads.
This isn't a recognized municipal roadway at this juncture, so we have to put out that awareness campaign
Yeah.
to prospective parties, especially due to the fact that this parcel is going through the public auction process. That's probably the most I can say about that. This needs to be public knowledge.
Yeah. Councillor Wall?
Your worship, may I ask for a 2-minute recess? Because I want to ask a question. I don't know how to ask it. It needs to be a public question. I'm just not sure how to ask that question in the public. Just a 2-minute recess so I can ask.
Everybody okay if we go in for a 2-minute recess? Okay, we'll take a 2-minute break. That was loud, I'm so sorry. Could I get more coffee?